Hello and welcome to the show. As usual, today I'm in a noisy environment, but we'll try to make it work given the limitations that we have on hand. Now, today on the podcast, we're going to look at, we're going to be making a detour from how to overcome the fear of selling. Now, the reason why we're going to do that is because I've been on the receiving end of some WhatsApp outreach. People have been trying to sell or promote things to me on WhatsApp and on LinkedIn a lot recently. And I've come across another example about how people are going about trying to research business opportunities, pitch a business idea, or validate their business opportunities the wrong way. Or rather, should I say, in the least effective way. Because when it comes to business development, when it comes to promoting your business ideas, there are some ways that are downright wrong and illegal, and there are some ways that are the most optimum, and in between, you just have a range of ideas that may be effective or might not be effective. They might work in some situations, that might not work in some situations. So that's the reason why I make podcast episodes like this, where I receive outreach from someone and I quickly hop on the microphone just to give you guys my 2 cents. Because I'm thinking if I start receiving a couple of these, then there are probably those of you out there who are thinking of doing the same thing and are going to go out and use ineffective ways to try and drum up interest for your business. So this is the scenario that we're looking at today. A guy reaches out to me and he wants to interview me as possible research for a CRM solution that he's selling for Nigerian photographers. Now, why is he reaching out to me? Obviously, because I started off my business career a decade and a half ago as a photographer, first in Lagos and then later on in Abuja. Now, for those of you who've been listening for a while, you know that I'm not actively promoting the photography anymore. I do handle the corporate inquiries. So when people call for corporate parties, trainings, end of year, blah, 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 I do stuff like that. If it's wedding or portrait related, even passport related, because I got one of those passport phone calls this morning, there are other members of the team that I can send them to. So that's the reason why this guy is reaching out to me, because I am a former photographer. CRM. Now, what does CRM mean? CRM is a customer relationship management tool. The idea behind it is that when you're in business, like you're a photographer, you're going to be making connections with dozens and maybe hundreds of people. So you need a tool to be able to track who have you spoken to, who do you need to call next, what stage of the relationship are you guys at, who have you promised to send in a quote, who is owing you some money, when is the next shoot going to be, who do you need to pay as a second shooter to get a job done, things like that. So there are tons and tons and tons of stuff that we have to do every day in running a business, and a CRM tool is one of those solutions that make our job easier. So if you're a photographer and you have something that when you wake up in the morning, it pings you and it tells you that, hey, Chukwudi is owing you 50K. You delivered the wedding album to him last week. You now know that, okay, after I have my bath and I brush my teeth and I drop the kids off at school, I need to sit down and I need to call Chukwudi and any other person who owes me money. And then the tool is going to ping you again, maybe later in the day at 1 a.m. Oh, sorry, not 1 a.m., 1 p.m. in the afternoon to say, hey, last week, you were talking to Elizabeth. She might be getting married on April 14th. You guys are supposed to have a meeting so that she can look over some album samples. So you now know that it's time to whip out your phone and call Elizabeth to say, hey, Elizabeth, how far? How are you doing? Happy New Year. We haven't seen since December. Hope you haven't forgotten. We're supposed to have a meeting. When are you free? Have that kind of thing. So that's the idea behind CRM solution. Because if you're going to try and run your business without a CRM, and you're only going to use your memory, you are going to forget a lot. Now, fortunately for me, when I started off in business, I was in business with my brother. He handled the wedding video. He was the videographer. So, and my brother had quite a good memory. So he didn't know exact dates, but he could wake up and say, "Hey, you know what? We're in March. Didn't Elizabeth get married March last year?" And I'll go and check. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true. We did cover her wedding in March last year." And then I'll call Elizabeth and say, "Hey, Lizzie, how far now? How are you guys doing? How's your husband? Uh, how are the kids? Blah blah blah," and have that conversation. So, assuming you don't have a memory like my brother, or you're not in business with someone who's like my brother, who kind of remembers that, okay, it's time to reach out to this person, it's time to reach out to that person. If you don't have a CRM, then you running your business is going to be really ineffective. Now, does everybody need a CRM, a customer relationship management tool? In my own opinion, not everybody needs to pay for an expensive one because there are lots of things that you can do with your smartphone. Assuming you do have a smartphone, there are lots of functions that you can do on that that will make your phone serve as your CRM. Now, that is my own professional opinion for now for people who are in the SME space. When you make a bunch of money and you start hiring lots of other people to sell for you, then the CRM makes sense because you have the cash flow to justify it and because things are getting too complex to run off your mobile phone. But in the beginning, I think it's fine just to use your phone and its capabilities as a CRM because from all the scenarios that I've been talking about, you've seen that your messaging tools, your calendar tools, your notification tools, your task tools on the phone can help you solve these sorts of things. Now, another reason why I recommend that people have use the phone as a CRM is because I've noticed that whenever people have free solutions and they don't use them, when they now move on to paid solutions, it's no guarantee that they're going to use the paid solutions either. So, in my own opinion, start with your phone as a CRM, become very good at it, make sure that you check it every day, and that you follow the prompts. When you're really good at that, you can now worry about spending 20K a month on CRM solutions. But just in case you don't buy my advice, you want to get your own dedicated CRM solution. I think there's is it Boho or Zoho or something like that. In I've seen the what's it called, the these boards that advertise stuff, advertising board billboards. Yes, I've seen the billboards in Abuja and Central District where they're advertising monthly packages. So if you're looking for CRM solutions, you've been hearing of I can't remember if it's Boho or Zoho, but anyway, you've been hearing about all these foreign companies. Yes, they are now in Nigeria. HubSpot is taking payments from Nigerian clients. Zoho or Boho or whatever the name of the company, they're here. They're advertising. So look around and you'll be able to get your CRM solution from them. Now, another background why the guy reached out. Photographers are, how should I put it? Photographers are notorious for being sloppy. Let me put it that way. You know, we are artistic, creative types. We always like to flow with the spirit, you know, go with the vibe, go with the flow, that kind of thing. So photographers are constantly forgetting to deliver album on time, forgetting to call people, forgetting to send the proposal, forgetting to call up somebody who owes them money, you know, things like that. So the reason why this guy reached out to me, because that looks like a ripe market. If there are people, a segment of people, Nigerian photographers, can benefit from this idea, then it might be good sense to maybe good sense to see what kind of business solutions you can provide here if there's a market. And it makes a lot of sense that this guy reached out to me because that is part of the research that you should do before you launch a business. I've always recommended over here on the podcast that you should try and validate your business solutions, try and validate your idea before you begin. Don't just take 5M and throw it into a business only to find out that there's no profit. Do some small research, put some small money down first, you know, maybe use 50K to validate the idea. Then if it makes sense, you can now go all in on your 5M. So that is what I advocate over here on the podcast. So now I've explained what the CRM is, so you guys have a background. Okay, this guy that is talking to me, he wants to include invoicing. Does CRM include invoicing? Many packages do. Basically, that's just a function to let you know that, A, this person is owing you money, or you need to send a proposal, or you need to send an invoice to this person, blah, blah, blah. And he also wants to include project management in his own CRM. And yeah, that also makes a lot of sense because it will keep you on point. You know, a little notification that will tell you that, hey, Eric, you shot Joanne's wedding last week. It is now 2 weeks. By now, you should be done with album design and you should submit the album for production in another 3 weeks. You know, something like that, those kinds of notifications. So you can see that these are all the bundles that can be thrown into the CRM. Now, what is the mistake in this fellow's approach, the outreach that he's using? It depends. One way of looking at it is that he has no minimum viable product. A minimum viable product is the smallest version of the idea that you can test, that people can test before they say this is good, this is bad, and then they can give you actual constructive feedback. Because what this guy is saying, it's a good idea, sounds good, but this is just an idea in his head. It's an idea that has not even been reduced to paper yet. when you're going out to do market research, it makes sense if you have something that people can see, can touch, can taste, can smell, can give an opinion on something beyond saying this is a good idea or this is a bad idea. Now, how do you MVP this sort of thing? Since I don't have a technical background, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm assuming that maybe there are ways you can automate an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. But anyway, those of you who have technical backgrounds and who know how to do app and all this tech stuff, I'm sure you guys will send me a message and let me know how you can MVP this kind of thing. So MVP, minimum viable product. So if you're going into a business that involves a product, something that people can see, can touch, can smell, can handle, it might make sense to have an MVP because it's good to come and say, oh, you know what, I want to start a CRM. Do you think it's a good idea? How much money would you pay? Would you be willing to sign up as a client? It's a lot different from saying like, hey, how far? How are you doing? You used to be a photographer, Abby. I have this idea for a CRM. In fact, here it is. Why don't you sign up for a free account? Fool around with it. Let me see whether it's robust. Let me know. Let me know whether this thing works, whether it's a good idea. Then later on, you can call the person up to say, do you want to invest? Do you want to be a client? That sort of thing. So, MVP for those of you who have product ideas. MVP if you have one before you start reaching out to folks. Now, in the name, it says minimum viable product. You don't have to build out the full thing. You don't have to pay 500,000 naira to an app developer to build this thing out. So just try and, just try and put together something rough but works and doesn't look bad so that people can use it and say, bros, you know what, this is a good idea, but, na Niger we do. So this whole thing of invoicing, don't put that invoicing thing there. It's just a waste of space. But our project management, yeah, the thing makes sense. So things like that. So you now know how you're going to tweak your own CRM. Now, another problem with the guy's outreach, with his approach, is that he didn't do any research over the internet. And the reason why I know he didn't do any research is because there are already dedicated CRM solutions for photographers that exist, not just international, but local. The problem seems to be that photographers in Nigeria have not adopted a CRM culture. That seems to be the problem. And if you want to tackle that, I guess there are other business solutions for trying to tackle that. But the thing is, if before he started having those conversations with me, he had checked on Google CRM solutions for Nigerian photographers, bam, you hit enter, he would have seen the opportunities, the ones that came up. So actually, that was the first thing that I did when we started having those conversations. I just did a Google search because I knew they existed. I thought it was only one or two, but I did a Google search, and on those the picture things that come up on the side, I think it was 7 that came up, and one of them was clearly Nigerian. So I took a screenshot, I sent it to him. Luckily for me, he's a correct guy, so he didn't take offense, and he even thanked me for pointing that out. Sometimes I do not want to give frank advice to people when they call because I've noticed that some people get offended, and well, anyway, some people get offended, but luckily for me, he didn't get offended. He kind of took the point. So, if you want to start a business, it doesn't have to be a CRM solution for Nigerian photographers. Google is not a bad way to start your research. So, before you even start calling people up, just pull out your phone, open google.com, or open the Google app, start searching, or open Google Bard, that's the AI solution. Start searching. Is blah 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 a good idea? Does this exist? How should I start a business for this and that? And you get lots of interesting things. It will get your mind working, Sha. You do the Google search, you think about it, discuss with your girlfriend, discuss with your husband, discuss with momsy and popsy, discuss with your flatmates. You get some good ideas before doing research. So these are ways that you can start doing initial research. Do not start doing your research without at least doing a Google search. You want to open a poultry in your if you want to open a poultry in your village, I don't know whether a Google search might help you, but anyway, Sha, the opportunities for some basic research that you should do in this day and age, and I think a Google search is a good one. Now, the final error that the guy made, in my own opinion, is he chose the wrong polling set. If you're going to do some research and you want to take a poll, you want to talk to people, you want to talk to people to get their opinion, you need to talk to people who are currently in the space. Those are the people who know what's up. So he's talking to me because he knows that I am a former photographer. But that's the problem. I'm a former photographer. So since I'm not fully in the space anymore, I might not be up to date on what photographers need, what they know, things like that, because this space moves really fast and I have become painfully out of touch. At the last session that when we're providing media coverage for the British Council, boys were around. We provided live view so that the thing could be streamed over the internet. I was on the cameras for photography. We had the video people, and now when we're together and we just start gisting and the kind of things that they were saying, I mean, it sounded like Greek to me. I didn't know some kinds of cameras had been invented. I didn't know the kind of tech that was available. In fact, the whole live streaming thing to me just seemed like magic. I didn't see how. I mean, streaming to Facebook, yeah, I knew that was possible, but I didn't know you could stream to Facebook and to Zoom and another platform at the same time. And there are ways that you can handle the engagement across different platforms. The whole thing just seemed like magic. So things change. So you're better at talking to people. He's better off talking to people, in my own opinion, who are currently in active service. They're the people who are suffering with the problem that they're trying to solve. I might look at it, think it's a good idea, and give him advice based on what I used to suffer 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but it's out of touch with what photographers are suffering today. So he used the wrong polling set. So let's say you're coming up with a business and you want to work on bleaching cream for young Nigerian females. Don't go and ask the opinion of 50-year-old Nigerian male computer developers. That is different. A 50-year-old man might tell you something and you take that advice, but then that kind of advice does not apply to the skin of a 25-year-old woman. Or maybe the person that you're asking is a computer developer, so he's inside all the time. Maybe he's not exposed to Harmattan all the time because this guy wakes up, has a bath, just uses Vaseline, and then he sits in the AC and then he starts work. It might be different from the average Nigerian female who probably has to go out, work in Zenith Bank or work in Federal Ministry of Finance or whatever, and who from time to time has to go out to the market and then do school runs and then things like that. So you really need to get your feedback from the right customer pool, the right customer set, the right audience, or else you're going to get bad data. And if you have bad data, bad information, you're going to design your product or your service wrong. So if you're looking for bleaching cream for Nigerian females between the ages of 18 to 26, those are the people you should ask. If you go around talking to 50-year-old computer developers or 45-year-old photographers who are men, you just miswrote. You will get the wrong advice. You will create the cream, and I don't know. Maybe the cream might work well for bleaching guys, but maybe it might be too harsh for females. But anyway, you get my point. Yeah, make sure that you do your customer selection, your customer poll, your audience. Do that the right way. Now, my own opinion, how would I go about this kind of research? Of course, I've already spoken about talking to the right kind of people, making sure they have the right polling, and I would have done some research on Google to try and figure out whether these products exist and what's the extent of the problem. But another thing I would have done is I would have joined a group, Nigerian WhatsApp group, Facebook group for photographers, and Telegram groups. Yes, those also exist. And then I would now chat the admins in the group. I would be frank with them, like, hey, bros, madam, what's up? How you guys doing? This is where I'm coming from. I beg, no vex. I'm not selling anything, but I just want to do this research. Is you okay if I start talking to the members in the group one on one, or can I share this thing on the group? It's important to ask for permission because group admins, they hate it when nobody, they don't know you. You come in and then just start blasting things all over the group. They don't like that. They will just block you and you will get banned from the groups. And these communities are really small. Before you know it, you will have a reputation. You say, oh, is this so and so? The guy's an idiot. I'll block him. I beg, block him from your group. He's just a spammer, that kind of thing. So ask for their permission, start talking to group members, and then start having those one-on-one conversations. Are you having problems with follow-up? Are you having problems with invoicing? Do you think you need a project management tool? Blah, blah, blah. All those conversation topics. Now, you do things this way, you're going to get valid feedback from people who are the target audience, who are currently feeling that problem, and they will help you refine your business idea. It is then that you will know whether to remove project management or whether to put invoicing, or whether to scatter the idea altogether and do something else, because Nigerian photographers think they don't need a CRM. So it depends. Then you can also try and find out what photographers are currently using apart from a CRM, because even though photographers in Nigeria do not use CRMs, clearly they are using something. How many of them are working from memory? How many of them are working from a phone? How many of them are working from Excel sheets? How many of them are working from notebook and what do you call it? Post-it notes and things like that. Try and figure out what are they actually using. It will give you a sense of what the problem is, and might give you ideas for other business ventures. Now, let me just use a ridiculous example. Let's say for some reason you find out that Nigerian photographers are not using CRM. They're not using their phone, but rather they're using post-it notes. And you have some small money. Maybe you have maybe like 10K in savings. Who knows? You might use that 10K, buy post-it notes, and start selling only to photographers. You might find out that you might take that 10K, invest it in this business, and then between now and next month, that 10K might become 20K. Who knows? It makes sense. You never know. That's the reason why research is important before we go into business. Now, on a side note, apps and website ideas are cash intensive. They are very expensive. The reason why is because you need to reach a mass scale. You need to reach critical scale for the idea to work. If you want to build a successful CRM company and you only have 50 users, 50 of your friends that are using, that thing doesn't make sense. 50 people, how much are they going to give you that you use to pay for the app to be designed or for the website to be designed? So who knows? Maybe you need 5,000 people to use it. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Or maybe you need 50,000 people over the length and breadth of Nigeria. But basically it's going to have to be a mass scale. If Zuckerberg started Facebook and only 100 people joined, he'll be on his own. The thing is not going to work. So for someone who is thinking about these sorts of business, in case it's you listening to the podcast right now, you need to anticipate and properly plan for fundraising. You need to raise money. You need to talk to investors, except if you're from a wealthy family. But even then, even if you're from a wealthy family, you need to have frank conversations with your family members. Talk to Momsy and Popsy, your older brother, your older sister. You need to be frank with them that, folks, this business that we're entering, I think these are the prospects. I think this is how much we need to be made. This is how much I think we need to finance the business. And if the thing starts making profit in year 3, this is how I'm going to start paying money back to the family savings. This is how much I will pay. This is what I can afford to pay, or these are the other benefits that I can afford to give you, Uncle this person, or to give you, Auntie Patricia. So you need to have those frank conversations. You need to be upfront. So that's all for today, pretty much. Remember to connect with me on WhatsApp. The number is 080-6466-2140, and the country code is +234 for those of you hitting me up outside the shores of Nigeria. Also connect with me on LinkedIn. The name is Tavishima Ayede. I'm the host of the show. You can confirm the spelling of my name and the email address from the link where you're currently listening to this episode. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.